The Dodgers startle baseball by pulling off one of the big names from the free agent market. The Chargers' loss on Monday, oh, that's a pain that's going to linger. And an LAFC executive is honored by MLS. But I'm going to explain why you should be skeptical that it's deserved. Good morning. I'm James. This is your daily dose of sports and snark for the greatest sports city in the world, Los Angeles. This is the faithful Angelenos Morning Report. It is November 27th, 2024, still in Portland, Oregon. At least it's a lot cleaner. It's been a lot more delightful. I'll give them that. But they're not LA. And if you like being in the know about LA sports, clickety-clack the like button. Clickety-clack the subscribe button. There's a notification bell. Hit that. It'll let you know when we drop new content. Sharing is caring. Let people know we exist. And by all means, comment now before we go through the news and notes. A look at the scoreboard. Phoenix 127, Lakers 100. The Lakers have lost 3 in a row, but the last 2 by more than 20 points each. Straight up butt kickings both times. And I got to tell you something. There's something a little bit more sinister afoot than losing in the NBA Cup. Because who gives a bleep about the NBA Cup? This is the first real challenge to JJ Redick as a coach. Even more so than when he benched D'Angelo Russell. Look, Anthony Davis leads with 29 points. LeBron James added 18. But even though I watched the game, I can't tell you that I know what the solution is. And then that leads to the question, can Redick? You look at the depth. We've been talking about it for weeks. Who do you sub in? I can tell you this much. You could say you bring in Cam Reddish to replace Russell and try and bolster your defense. Okay. But you can't have Cam Reddish running around for 23 minutes and scoring 0 points. You can't have that. And then you sit there and you go, well, maybe you sub in Russell and just hype up the offense, right? Russell shot 5 of 13 from the floor last night. You tell me what the answer is. UCLA 88, Southern Utah 43. LeVar Stefanovic scores 19 points for the Bruins, and I don't know how much that win should mean, though. The Bruins have played a pretty damn easy schedule. But look, at least they're undefeated at Pauley Pavilion, so that's something. Meanwhile, today, the Lakers are at San Antonio at 5:30. The Clippers are at Washington at 4. And Winnipeg is going to play the Kings in LA at 7 o'clock. Let's get to the news. The Dodgers have bolstered their starting rotation with a thunderbolt that is going to rip across the National League West on Tuesday night. They signed free agent, 2-time Cy Young Award winner Blake Snell to a 5-year, $182 million deal. It is the latest big-ticket addition for the Dodgers. The Dodgers have signed 5 players to deals worth at least $100 million since last offseason. And it's in an odd note, by the way, it's the 3rd largest contract in baseball history for a southpaw. All 3 of those left-handers pitched for the Dodgers, the other 2 being Clayton Kershaw and David Price. But Snell, he's had this odd relationship with the Dodgers. It's not that he hated LA. He's not I can't wait to. No, he's not that kind of guy. But he always wound up pitching for a Dodger rival. Last year, Suck Francisco. The year before, he won a Cy Young with Slime Diego. And when the Dodgers won the 2020 World Series, Snell was absolutely killing them in the deciding game until Tampon Bay's manager inexplicably pulled him. Now, Andrew Friedman, a former Rays exec, clearly coveted Snell for years. Lifting him from the Giants is just an added bonus to people like us who get passionate about those kind of things. But now that Friedman has got him, you say, okay, it's possible Snell is the new ace. But then you're saying, okay, well, how does this impact the rest of the rotation? Snell, Yoshinobu Yamamoto, Tyler Glasnow was considered last year's ace. Shohei Ohtani at 4. Remember him? Huh? Then you go, okay, well, who's number 5? Tony Gonsolin, former All-Star? What about surefire first ballot Hall of Famer Clayton Kershaw? Even if you choose both, you now have a 6-man rotation, and I haven't even mentioned Dustin May, Bobby Miller. Does this suggest that World Series hero turned free agent Walker Buehler is out? There's a ton of questions, and they're not terrible questions to have if you're a Dodger fan this morning. It's an embarrassment of riches. The only thing that's even more embarrassing is that half of those pitchers are going to get injured. But I digress. Now, you may be wondering why Snell signed early, right? I would suggest it's because last year, when Snell was a free agent, his agent, Scott Boras, tried a typical negotiating tactic. Boras loves to stall and create a bidding war between teams that wind up getting FOMO, fear of missing out. Only when a bidding war didn't happen and Boras kept delaying, Snell signed with the Giants in March. Spring training was already on. Snell wasn't prepared for the season. He got injured. He didn't really find his mojo until, say, August. So I'm guessing Snell gave his marching orders to the agent. No more of this delaying crap. I want to perform and get paid. And he's getting both with LA. Now, let's be clear. This development is not going to stop the scribes from linking every free agent to the Dodgers. This is not going to stop a dang thing. Dodgers and Lakers rumors are pornography to the scribes. And much like porn addicts, the vast majority of the scribes out there are about as trustworthy as the people running Spirit Airlines. Give you an example. Just 2 days ago, we were told by USA Today, trusted news source from coast to coast, right? We were told by USA Today that the Dodgers were not seriously interested in free agent outfielder Juan Soto. Then yesterday, NJ.com, which is a conglomeration website for New Jersey newspapers, reported that the Dodgers were one of 5 teams to make an offer for Juan Soto. In a sense, you could suggest that both stories could be true, but you'd have to twist the hell out of it to make them happen. Like, oh, the Dodgers lowballed Soto, so they're not contenders, and that's just not going to float. Again, Boras is not just Blake Snell's agent, he's Juan Soto's agent. And Boras is a firm believer, again, that the longer you hold out, the more likely a bidding war is going to happen. So if the Dodgers made an offer and it wasn't really that big, trust me, there's going to be a second offer. Just like there's going to be an offer from all the other teams that levied the first offer to Boras. And you're going to read about every single offer because Boras is going to leak them to the press because he's trying to gin up a bidding war. And by the way, Friedman is every bit as patient as Boras. Even if Boras lies to the press about the Dodgers' interest, Friedman is not going to claim Boras is lying. You know why? Because Friedman wants to see if there is going to be a bidding war. If there is a bidding war, he can just stay off to the sideline. If one doesn't happen, maybe he sneaks in at the end and steals Soto away. So, yeah. Oh, by the way, when I return home, you guys know this if you're longtime viewers, I have a big whiteboard and I add names to these wild and out done-ass Dodger rumors. There's going to be an 18th name added to the board. A scribe is suggesting that the Dodgers are going to trade for St. Louis third baseman Nolan Arenado. It's a guess. Doubtful it happens. But as you can tell, we've got a lot of Dodger stuff to talk about. Let me know what you think of the comments thread. Meanwhile, with the Chargers, Jim Harbaugh had no update on running back J.K. Dobbins, who injured his knee during the Bolts loss on Monday Night Football. The Chargers also had yesterday off, and I would presume that much of the coaching staff, they went to church and lit so many candles that fire alarms went off and people just fled the confessional. Here's why Dobbins' injury is so concerning. J.K. Dobbins is to leg injuries what grilled onions are to double-doubles. You got to have it. They don't exist without one without the other. Dobbins broke a fibula as a high school senior. He had a grade 3 ankle sprain at Ohio State. He tore an anterior cruciate ligament while with the Ravens in 2021. Needed an additional procedure to relieve him of knee tightness in 2022, and then he tore his Achilles in 2023. Seriously, the only thing J.K. Dobbins hasn't done with his legs is stick them in the wood chipper like at the end of the movie Fargo. There was so much bad stuff going on for the Chargers Monday night. I realize they only lost by a touchdown, but that was just a unchargery game from what they've been doing this year. And it was hard to keep up with all of it for me. It was the first time that the Bolts defense was exposed. They have surrendered 30 points for the first time in a game this year. Now, it is possible that missing linebacker Denzel Perryman was a thing. He's a run stopper. The Ravens put up over 200 rushing yards. But how much would one man have really helped? It's over 200 rushing yards, guys. And by the way, just like we don't have an update on Dobbins, we don't have an update on Perriman either. Monday night was also a return to incompetence for wide receiver Quentin Johnston, who dropped 3 passes. And if there's one stat where I think the NFL is extremely charitable, it's the dropped pass. They don't just randomly hand them out. You only get a credit for a drop pass if it's like where you and I are sitting on the couch and we're sitting there going, good Lord, I could have caught that ball and I have arthritic fingers. That's a drop pass. And Johnson had 3 of them. There was this one on this crossing route where if he caught it, Johnston would have likely passed the first down marker, moved the chains on 3rd down. But that drop led to a punt, and the Ravens took the next drive in for a touchdown. So Johnston's drops have consequences. Meanwhile, also with the Chargers today, safety A.J. Finley was claimed off waivers by Seattle. Finley's a second-year player. He spent most of his time on special teams. LAFC head honcho John Thorrington was named MLS's Executive of the Year. Now, to be honest with you, I don't normally talk about awards. Shohei Ohtani won an MVP for the Dodgers, and I kind of was like, whatever, and went on with my life, right? Awards are what? I'm here for the wins and losses, the championships. But I want to take a moment and explain to you how Thorrington's award was a deeply flawed idea. True that LAFC won the US Open Cup. Okay. But that's a consolation prize when you don't win MLS. You can say, oh, well, they won the Western Conference. But so what? That's not the Supporters' Shield. Oh, LAFC reached the League's Cup final. Guys, the next person I see who is passionate about League's Cup will be the first person I've seen who's passionate about League's Cup. Nobody cares about it. So you put all of that, you put it all in one bowl, and you just throw it to the side. It's not a terrible year, but it's not elite executive work. Moreover, here's why the award absolutely is not a warranted. You could credit Thorrington for getting LAFC there, but you have to counter that by saying Thorrington let one of his top guys go. to LAFC's worst enemy, the Galaxy. And then Thornton watched that guy in his first year as Galaxy general manager lift that franchise from almost worst to almost first. From 13th place to second place. Just like that. And I wish I could snap my fingers in this cold weather. In other words, Thornton's alleged great leadership enabled his bitterest rival to beat him at his own game with the blueprint LAFC used to swear by. That is not worthy of being named the executive of the year. Helping your rival to get get into position to win a sixth title? That's not executive of the year. Sean McVay said he was hopeful to get 2 starters back for the Rams in their next game against the Saints, which is nice. Unfortunately, neither offensive lineman Rob Havenstein or tight end Tyler Higbee can stop the run. So there's that. I mean, it's nice to see Higbee back after that cheap shot artist in Detroit blew up his anterior cruciate ligament. I mean, that game was in January. They're still picking up fragments of Higbee's knees out on the turf over there. Let the record reflect, and I'm not right about everything, but let the record reflect that I stood by Deshaun Foster when UCLA was stinking up the joint earlier this year on a 5-game losing streak. I mean, it doesn't make me a genius. The issue was obvious. UCLA simply didn't have the talent to compete with a lot of teams because his predecessor, Deshaun Foster's predecessor, looked at recruiting the way I look at prostate exams. Foster knows he needs talent, okay? He's not a dumb man at all. So he hosts about 700 recruits for the USC game. Now, we've discussed at length about USC's recruiting and how they're kind of borderline top 10 for the class of 2025. 24/7 Sports ranks the Bruins as the 36th best class. Now, look, that may not sound ideal, but when you consider that Chip Kelly didn't even try. Also, the same outlet claims that the Bruins class in recruiting for 2026 is currently 12th. All of that is cool, except for the fact that they lost. Pardon me. And speaking of USC, one of the reasons that I have not been anti-Lincoln Riley is because USC has slowly embraced sanity. Sanity. Now, I get it. The record suggests that we should be gobbling up antipsychotics. I understand. But the way the program is being rebuilt, not insane. The defense is competent. This is a football program that didn't even bother to have a special teams coach until this season. Now, punter Eddie Sablicki is pitching in. He's consistently pinning opponents inside the 20-yard line. More than 60% of his punts pin the opponents inside the 20. Almost a third of them land inside the opposing 10-yard line. So the dude is a finalist for the Ray Guy Award, which is given to the best punter in college. You can't argue with that kind of precision. And although the record doesn't reflect it, it's just kind of nice to see USC football just recognize that it's more than just a big play offense. But you let me know what you think in the comments thread. How geeked are you? Blake Snell, Los Angeles Dodger. And for that matter, how concerned are you? Los Angeles Chargers. Really ugly loss. But like I said, you let me know what you think in the comments thread. Thank you for watching. I'm James. We'll be back tomorrow. Faithful Angelenos is a Keon Cortel Queso production. Take care.